Over the past 150 years, the family farm has gone through many changes. Once self-sustaining centers with diverse crops and livestock, the family farm has become far more specialized. In our next story, we meet another man who's chronicled his family's farm heritage. For most of us, places come and go. We may only recall our grandmother's front yard, or our first home, or the places we played as children. But for Mill Pinner, memories don't have so far to travel. Mill lives on the same land on which he was born, and where his father was born, and where a century of Pinners have farmed the fields of central Kansas.
Well, my family arrived here in 1874 as members of a large group of Russian Mennonites. They were all of German extraction, having lived in Russia for a couple of generations. Mennonites often describe themselves as the quiet in the land because of the calm and peace-loving nature of their beliefs.
Mill recently published a memoir of this place called Section 27, A Century on a Family Farm. In it, he chronicles his family's history in McPherson County, as well as his own journey from boy to man.
When I broached the subject of writing a book with Mr. Woodard at the University Press, he suggested that a book that should be written, he didn't say I had to, but would be something telling the story of the 20th century on the farm. And I said yes, without giving it much thought. I'd try to do that. And then as I got to thinking, how do you compress the entire 20th century over thousands and thousands of acres of land in various states into one book? I got the idea, well, why not focus on something I know, like where I have lived all my life and my family, and make that the universal story.
Mill's great-grandfather, David Pinner, purchased land from the Santa Fe Railroad in 1887, the southeast corner of Section 27 in McPherson County. Thus began his family's tradition on the American farm.
These people were frugal farmers, but very thorough or good farmers. So by 1900, when my story in here really starts, they were fairly prosperous. If you see pictures of the houses they had, they were fairly elaborate houses and big barns, a lot of cattle, and they were doing pretty good.
Mill grew up in the strict Mennonite tradition. His parents, Bertha and Frank Pinner, were strongly devoted to their religion and to their work.
There were chores to do in the morning. You milk cows. I thought I'd milk cows forever. I didn't know there was another way of life. Feed the chickens, and I'm glad I had experienced all that. Usually, though, we had cattle and livestock to take care of until I think it all changed in the 1950s and 60s. People went away from diversified farming.
In 1950, Mill married Verna Lee Innes. They made their home on Section 27 and raised 3 children here.
Verna Lee presented me with a new outlook on life. Her family was a little more intimate, you know. They had more fun together than we did.
Like so many landowners of his era, Mill Pinner spent much of the 1950s and 60s trying to better his farm by spraying toxic chemicals, moving earth, and bulldozing trees. He's now taken a more harmonious view of his land, even helping to restore the wetlands he once dried up.
I think I've changed from kind of a narrow, dogmatic view of life to a broader outlook on life, to see ourselves as being part of the land rather than just dominating the land, To me, that's important. I have a theory that for a well-balanced life, you need some contact with the land.
The Penner story is a familiar one in 20th century America. It is about family and dreams and disappointments, and finally, satisfaction.
I feel good about living at one place all my life, but I have no background to judge that by. I've never tried another life, but we feel very good about it. I'm glad we're here right now. It's been a good life. In a way, I'm pretty hard on my folks and my ancestors for being so restrictive, but they did the best they could. That was what they believed, what they understood, and that has made us what we are today.
Though much has changed in a century on Section 27, there remains a steadiness to the landscape, from the lush recesses of the pond to the towering trees, to the storm that rolls over the wheat field on an otherwise quiet summer evening.
Yesterday, on a walk along a wooded creek, skirting past a prairie in bloom, through knee-deep alfalfa, across a disked wheat field, and back to the house through the mulberry hedge, I became aware of a presence. Section 27's generations were here with me, their essence, their genes, and their footprints across the fields were around and within me. They were pleased with what they saw.